All right, in 7-7 notes, let's move on to some trig application problems. Okay, some real world problems. We do need to look at angle of elevation and angle of depression. Okay, two new things probably to you. So let's do our definitions first, and then we'll try to explain it over here in the picture. So an angle of elevation is the angle from a horizontal line. Horizontal. So show me quickly with your pencil what a horizontal line looks like. Yes, remember it looks like the horizon, right? Okay, it goes like left and right. So it's from a horizontal line up to something. Okay, so whatever they're saying the angle of elevation is up to. Okay, so we'll go over here for a moment to our picture. Let's say that they say the angle of elevation from this person, which normally, see, we draw in the whole person. Normally, we would just call the person like that point, that dot. Let's say we say the angle of elevation from, I'll just use T. Okay, the angle of elevation from T to person, this dot, B. Okay, we'll put them right there. That would make more sense. The angle of elevation from T to B is some number. Okay, what that means is rotating from this horizontal line, right? This is the only horizontal line that I see. So rotating here from the horizontal line up to a line that you need to draw in from T to B, that would be your angle of elevation. Okay, so I'm going to erase this and go ahead and put in what we just said. So we need a line that goes from T to B. Okay, and this would be the rotation from the horizontal line up to where that would be, pointing at B. This would be called your angle of elevation, which I'm just going to abbreviate. Okay. Now, the other thing to realize before we move on, well, we'll move on. Let's do angle of depression first, and then we'll come back to this stuff. Okay, so angle of elevation is that first one. Angle of depression, then, is going to be, and if you just kind of think of the word depression, like depressed, right? Depressed means down, right? Kind of like when somebody's depressed, their mood is down, but depressing something means push down on it. So the angle of depression is the angle from a horizontal line again, but now it's down to something. Okay, so again, for instance, let's say now it's from something top. So we'll say person B has an angle of depression of like 30 degrees to person T. So it means from their perspective, guys, draw a horizontal line. So I usually draw a dash because that line's not really there. And then you're just rotating from that line down, okay, because it says the angle of depression from B to T. So your angle of depression from B to T rotating down is whatever number they give you. Okay, so this would be your angle of depression. All right, well, you're solving with these application problems. If it's trig, you're solving right triangles, guys. So you have no choice but to see a right triangle in this picture. So if I see a wall, vertical wall, and a horizontal line, I see a right angle there. Okay, so I'm hoping the focus you're coming up with is this right triangle that I'm now highlighting all in purple. Okay. All right, it's going to take some practice. So here we go. Oh, also, I know what else you should know. You should recognize something about the two horizontal lines. Okay, think about our parallel chapter, right? Horizontal lines are parallel to each other. So you should see a backward Z here, guys, and you should be able to tell me that you agree that this angle here, angle of depression, which is not in the triangle, would equal this angle, which is in the triangle. Okay, think about the backward Z. Those are alternate interior angles and therefore equal. All right, so let's just try this. Again, you know this is about right triangles. So I might just randomly draw in a right triangle before I even start. Okay, and then we've talked about the logic, like the ground, a runway, a road, your shadow. Those are all on the ground. They would be this side. If somebody's standing, a pole, a building, that would be logically this side. And then if somebody says, like, you're leaning a ladder, okay, or you've got a wire holding something down, that's going to be the hypotenuse. Okay, so it's just the logic of what goes with the picture, like it did the last time we did some of these word problems. Okay, so again, here we go. Here's my right triangle. And the angle of elevation of the sun is 41 degrees. The shadow of a building. And how tall is the building? Okay, so here we go. To me, the building has to be what's standing up and down. I want to know how tall that is. That's X. The shadow of the building, well, shadows are on the ground. So this is 32 feet long. And then, guys, the logic. Where would the sun be? We know it's up top. But where is the sun going to be? To the left or to the right if the shadow's over here on the left? Okay, so in other words, here's your building. The sun must be right here on this side for you to be casting a shadow over here. Okay, so think about that. And then, of course, the building makes a right angle with the ground, and it says the angle of elevation of the sun. So that's saying from here to here, if you rotate that way, you've made 41 degrees. Okay, you've got to be able to draw the picture. Once you draw the picture, it should be about you looking to see what you've got. So from the angle's perspective, 41, I have one angle and two sides in this picture. That should be your tip-off that it's trig. So from the angle's perspective, I see opposite and adjacent. So your equation would be tangent of 41 degrees equals the opposite side over the adjacent side. And then cross multiplying to get x equals 32 times the tangent of 41 degrees. That's the exact answer you must have before you get 27.82, right? Rounded to the nearest hundredth. And then what are those? Are those tacos? Are they girls? What are they? They are feet. So don't leave out units, guys. You get points just for units. So don't lose those. All right, next. Please change one thing for yourself. Let's make it to, because we need to be specific. Let's say to the base of. Okay, so make it say to the base of a building. Okay, here we go. I'm just purposely going to draw the triangle in a different direction. There's the right angle. So the angle of depression from the top of a fire tower to the base of a building. Okay, so we've got two things that stand up and down. All right, so here we go. The tower is 40 feet tall. Well, in my picture, this is going to be my tower. Okay. And now it says that there's a building over here somewhere. I'll just put some windows in it so you know this is the building. And it's saying that the angle of depression from the top of the fire tower, which is right here, to the base of this building, which is right here. Okay, so angle of depression means I need to put a horizontal line, and I know that it's going down to what it's pointing to. That angle of depression is 10 degrees. And then we want to be very literal. It says how far away from the bottom of the tower is the building. That's this. Okay? So the problem here is I need the 10 to move inside the triangle. I need the numbers in the triangle. Well, if you do your backwards Z, alternate interior angles, you should recognize that these are both equal to each other. And so the 10 degrees moves there. Now you've got one angle and two sides in that triangle, and you are ready to write your relationship. From the angles perspective, you have opposite and adjacent. So you should be telling me tangent of 10 degrees equals opposite side over adjacent side. Okay, and now if I put that over 1 and cross multiply, I'd have x times the tangent of 10 degrees equals 40. Divide both sides by tangent of 10. X would equal 40 divided by the tangent of 10 degrees. There's the exact answer I need before you go to your calculator to get 226.85 feet. Okay. All right, there you go. All right, the next one. All right, so again, I'm just going to randomly draw a right triangle. Why don't you stop the video and see what you can do to try to fill in the picture yourself. All right, so here's what you should see. Mr. B is standing up, so this is the 6. His shadow would be on the ground of 4 feet long. And we know the sun would have to be here, right? For the shadow to be on the ground there. And we want to know what's the angle of elevation of the sun. Well, here's the only horizontal line pointing up to the sun, and that's what you don't know, so that's x. Okay? All right, one angle and two sides is your tip-off that it's trig. From the angles perspective, we have opposite and adjacent, so that is tangent. Tangent of x equals opposite side over adjacent side. And since you're solving for an angle, it should be x equals arc tangent of 6/4. And x will equal 56.31 degrees. That's your unit this time, is the degrees. Okay. All right, last problem. Again, I'll just draw in a right triangle. Definitely, if you ever run a business in the future, you're responsible for this. I've had to do this in my own garage. Okay, I've had to do this to get people who are in wheelchair in my house. And guess what, guys? I whipped out my measuring tape. I whipped out what I know about trig. Okay. And I did exactly this. Okay, so wheelchair access ramp must have an angle of elevation of no more than 12. Well, the only angle of elevation I see in this picture from a horizontal line up to something is 12 degrees, is right there. So this is your door, right? There's your little handle. And it says, I want to know that that door is 5 feet off the ground. And how long would that ramp have to be? So that's the ramp. One angle and two sides is your tip-off that it's trig. You have the opposite side and the hypotenuse from the angle's perspective, so that would be sine. So sine of 12 degrees equals the opposite side over the hypotenuse side. Putting this over 1 and cross multiplying, I would have x sine 12 degrees equals 5. I need to divide both sides by the sine of 12 degrees. So 5 divided by the sine of 12 degrees is the exact answer I have to see from you before you give me your final answer of 24.05 feet. All right, so keep drawing those pictures, going through what makes sense logically. Good luck.